Hey, this is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things, and this is a Fun Fold Friday episode. I have a swap card that I actually have the creator's information to share with you. It uses a product called from Handsomely Suited, the die cuts for the tie, and the pattern paper that it uses. I had to search around for it, and I found the paper in Pattern Play. There's a side here. All of these on the backs have black and white, and it's a bunch of little pinstripes to go with the tie. So it's this particular page. Here is the Fun Fold that I used for my inspiration. I think this is very clever. I just really like it. I think that it is an absolutely perfect card. I would not change a thing about it. The creator is Tina Lesson, and she is a demonstrator from North Carolina. She has a blog called stampingkz.blogspot.com. And again, her name is Tina Lesson, Lesson, and she also has a Stampin Up website, www.tinalesson.stampinup.net. I want to be sure to give her credit for the inspiration. And I went ahead and I created a project that actually has some tips in it with working with the new Expressions in Ink DSP. And the Expressions in Ink DSP has some greens, then the rest of the page is white. It's like a matte finish white. And I want to show you in this natural light here how gray the white is on the Expressions in Ink DSP versus basic white, which has a bit of a creamy tint to it. It's not as creamy as the Whisper White was, but still, when you compare this cardstock to the DSP, there's definitely a difference in color. So I did a couple of things when I created my project, which isn't all the way together yet because I wanted to be able to talk about the build out of this particular card. So using the inspiration card, you can see that it actually does, it's simply scored. It is a A2 size piece of cardstock, like a card base that has been scored, and on the back, when you pull it out, is the place where you write the sentiment. Where you write the message, as in it's the inside of the card. So what I did is I had most of these pieces were just sitting around on my desk waiting to be put away. So I had some pieces from a video I just made live where I showed you the foiling on the green. So I had a couple of these pieces out. I had a particular die cut that's actually the other half. This is the one half that was left. And then over on this side was a die cut. It happened to be a long, narrow die cut. And when I saw it, I thought of this swap because I have kind of ordered all of my swaps into favorites and ones that I want to create my own from, that are inspiring for me. So I went ahead and I also had a half sheet of shaded spruce, and it was sitting over in my card bases. I don't often do A2 size half sheets. I usually do the long skinny tent card bases, 4.25 by 11. But this particular one I have had a few of left over from old projects. So this was my piece, and I went ahead and laid out from two pieces of, this is one of the remnants. I mapped them out to be able to work the way I needed them to. I knew that I wanted to deal with the color differences. So what I have done, and I'll give the measurements on this in a minute after I talk about how I worked with this particular color difference. So I have a piece in the front here that will be my focal that goes over the top. And the first thing I noticed when I laid it on top, I immediately noticed the grayish color versus the basic white tone. And of course the basic white is cream colored or creamier. So I knew I wanted to put it's a flower element that goes on the front. So I grabbed my blending brush here. I grabbed my Daffodil Delight, and then I went ahead and added unicircular motion. This center piece was full Daffodil Delight. Then I did some soft toning down of the gray by adding light Daffodil Delight all the way along to the outside. So I am going to show you that this is pure white, the gray white, and these panels, all four of them, have been creamed by using very light Daffodil Delight. That's one thing I really like about these brushes, is they allow a much more finite control over the coloring. So what I did is, I even have this here, I went ahead and brushed off some of the yellow first, then I went and blended it all the way across, even up into the top corners, to warm up the gray tone. And I believe, as you can tell, that you can see, I was trying to get this filmed in the daylight with my big window, so you could see the natural color change that I affected by adding a little bit of the Daffodil Delight. Okay, so that's the prep that I did. And then I will now add my focal. Again, this was just a die cut left over from the shares that I had created, the swaps that I had created. So this is what is going to go on top. I haven't figured out any trim or any embellishments, but I went ahead and sponged lightly with the dauber in shaded spruce all the way around the edges. And I cannot see, at first when I laid this on, when I had the yellow but had not colored the panels on the sides and did not sponge, it was a very obvious difference. But I think these two tricks that I did were simple enough that they have made the two whites very compatible, and you cannot tell that they're different. So this is my project taken from the inspiration of the tie. I will now give you some dimensions. So I went ahead and wrote them on the back. Oh, another little trick that I did, just as a fun thing, you can see all the yellow here. I went ahead and flipped this over and stenciled these flowers inside, just for fun, as a little extra detail. Die cut negatives make really good stencils. So I went ahead and did, on my scoreboard, I have a small travel scoreboard that I will bring out so you can see which are the valleys and which are the mountains. So I ended up on this side 2 inches, then I flipped it and went 1 1/8 in, then I reversed it and I did 2 inches, flipped it, and did another 1 1/8. So you want your this right here is mountain, valley, valley, mountain. So hopefully that all makes sense to you. If you have any questions about that, you can go ahead and leave me a comment on the video, and I will try to explain. When you make the mountain goes on the inside of your fold, if that makes any sense. So in this case, again, this is the mountain side, valley, valley, mountain, and that makes your folds look very clean, which in this case, because this card is all about the folding, and the people are going to extend it out and then they're going to flip it over and they're going to see the decoration and whatever your message is. I went ahead and wrote the dimensions. I actually wasn't going to finish the card 100%, but then I realized that I had hit that territory of dealing with this grayish white against the basic white, and thought I will spend a little more time so I can explain how I hide the fact that the colors are different. And the reason why this is something I work with a lot is I always do the paper pumpkins every month. I do alternatives, and the paper pumpkin whites are always the grayish white versus the creamy white that comes with the Stampin' Up cardstock. What used to be Whisper White and is now Basic White. So that is all I've got. I hope you like my card. I will get to finish it up. I may, since I went ahead, I had already written these numbers on before I decided to finish it more completely. So I think what I might do is add more panels on the back just to finish it off. And then it'll be good enough for giving. And I will take a screenshot of the finished card. I do have the back popped up, as you saw, with dimensionals. Because this is so thick, it's basically 3-4 pieces thick right now. And then I have dimensionals. I didn't want to pop up the sentiment. The sentiment is from Ornate Thanks, and I really like the sentiments on that set. They go really well with the narrow, skinny card style of cards. I really like that you can chop them up into different pieces. I was thinking of making it into 4 different pieces, and decided it would be nice with 2, because then it'll hang off the ends a little bit, and just adds a lot of dimension to the card. So I really like Ornate Thanks for these type of, like a tall, skinny type of card. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can add them to this video or over on my blog. All supplies will be listed over on my blog. Please like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.